It's now my pleasure to introduce tonight's speaker. Dr. Waheeda is a lifelong educator and social entrepreneur. Born in Singapore, she settled in Indonesia, where in 1998, because of the Asian financial crisis, she and her late husband co-founded the Al Ashriya Nurul Iman Islamic boarding school in West Java. Her innovative boarding school provides over 15,000 children with free education, meals, accommodation, and health services. The school is entirely self-sustainable through student entrepreneurship. It has 65 business units, including a bread factory, recycling center, and even a hair salon that is run by its students, thereby allowing them to sharpen their entrepreneurial skills as an essential part of their education. Dr. Waheeda obtained a bachelor's degree in psychology from the University of Indonesia, a master's degree at the London School of Public Relations, and a doctorate in Quran Science and Interpretation from PTIQ University in Jakarta. So it's my pleasure to welcome Waheeda.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for the invitation. And we can see the slides for my presentation. How come I started this school? It started in '98 when there was this Indonesian, there was a lot of riots in Indonesia where the president of Suharto was toppled over. And we had to seek refuge from Jakarta to Bogor in '98. We opened this school for girls, actually, because in Indonesia, young girls are being sold off by their parents. Their parents are the pimps. And they ended up in brothels around the Bogor area that we're staying now. My late husband said, Waheed, if in a country where the girls are being sold off, are working as prostitutes, they will give birth to, wedlock, children born out of wedlocks, and that nation will be destroyed by Allah. So we started the school for girls. We invited the girls around our area to come and study. Free education, we provide all the food, the meals, everything. We just want the girls to be educated first. Because as we know, mothers are our first teachers. We learn how to call mama, papa, all from our mother. We are successful because of our mothers. So when we open the school, it's for girls. But what do the girls say? We cannot study. If we study, we cannot work. The parents don't allow the girls to study. Okay, my husband said, never mind, we open the school to anyone who wants to come and study. The first student was a boy from Java. And from then, we have the refugees from East Timor, and then the orphans from the tsunami Aceh, and then orphans from the volcanoes eruption. When my husband passed away in 2010, we had 23,000 children. Everything is free, from early childhood education until university, until we get them married. Because most of them are orphans, street children, abandoned children, and they are all very poor children. Most of them are that category in my school. Everything was so happily ever after. I didn't have to work, I didn't have to run the business. As a wife of an Arabic imam, I just have to be the comfortable wife, sit at home, take care of my 7 children, and now I have 17 grandchildren. I never think about money and I never think about economy. In 2010, my husband said, Waheed, I'm going to die on a Friday at 9 in the morning. You will take over the school and all the businesses that goes with the school. I don't leave any inheritance. I only leave the Waqaf assets. In Islam, when we said Waqaf, all the lands are owned by the Ummah. We can work on the land, we can have factories, we can have businesses, we can have farms. Besides, of course, masjid, madrasa, and burial ground or makam. And that was what my husband left me. 2 weeks later, he got a stroke, and he passed away on Friday at 9 in the morning. The whole world collapsed. I have to take care of my 7 orphans and my 23,000 children in the boarding school. I never have to earn anything in my life. I sat down and I was called up by the police because I'm the 3rd wife. You know, in Islam, you can marry more than 1, less than 4. So I'm the 3rd wife. The first wife from the first family, they have 6 children and they're all adults. The second wife, 6 children, all adults. I'm the 3rd wife, and all my children are all still so young, still in elementary school. They reported me to the police. I amassed all this wealth for my own sake and not for wakaf. And I was reported to the Ministry of Religious Affairs because I don't want to share this inheritance. And my husband said that there is no inheritance from me. And he always said when he was teaching in the videos that I never leave any inheritance. All this is wakaf. Wakaf means I can work on the land, I can work on the assets, all the profits will go to the ummah. For 6 years, every month I will be called either by the police or by the Sharia court. 6 years later, I won the case. But during that time, I had to sell everything to take care of these 15,000 children. Why 15,000? From 23,000, I rationalized. I graduated them. I stayed with 15,000 because the community of 36 hectares is enough with 15,000 children. I forgot to click. So this is how I started. Okay, these are the children from the time when we opened in 98. Okay. 2010, a lot of debts. I sold all my Rolex watches, my 3 Jaguar cars, my Pajero cars, my Ford, all my diamonds, my jewelries, just to pay the debts. 3 months of electricity bills, 3 months of teacher salaries. I have to pay about 100,000 USD of rice bills. So I really started from minus. I can run away back to my homeland. I was born and raised in Singapore. My parents say, why do you stay in Indonesia? This is not your country. But my children are Indonesians. And if I leave the country, who is going to take care of these 15,000 children? My father said, it's up to the government. The Indonesian government can take care of those children. Can you imagine? Indonesia has the biggest Muslim population in the world. If these abandoned children are not taken care of, nobody to love, where will they end up? Terrorists, militants, whatever you want them to be. Whoever feed them, they will follow. They are children. I told my father, it's okay, I will stay here, even though nobody believed that I can feed these 15,000 children, because I'm a lady in a Muslim culture. Maybe woman is not strong enough as men because they cannot go to the field or whatever, but I don't care. I always say to Allah, if it's meant to be, I will accept this responsibility. So I look at the businesses that my husband left me, 25 business units. And the most profitable is the coal mine. In Islam, if you have a mine, a coal mine, a gold mine, diamonds, oil or gas, you have to pay zakat 20% of your profit. If you're just a trader or a merchant, you only pay 2.5%. So the most profitable business from the ones that my husband left me was the coal mine business. But I'm a homemaker, I'm a wife. Never mind, I just go to the coal mine, I talk to the manager, I will bring in the capital, that is about 10 million USD. We work the mine, and I go to my friend, my late husband's friend, who is a Chinese tycoon, one of the dragons in Indonesia. I told him, I need your capital to mine the coal, you buy my coal. Smart, huh? That is desperation. He was so sympathetic. He gave me the more than 10 million USD for the coal mine business, and I had it running. From there, I moved to my other business. We focus in few: food, energy, water, and waste business. With the food, we have the fish farms, the rice farms, we have the rice factories, coffee farm, all that to support the 15,000 children. Food business, energy, water, and waste. I'm called the trash queen. There's no trash but cash. Nice tagline. That's why every time I go to the restroom, I only pull one tissue because I really don't want to have waste on earth because it's big business for us. So everything recycled. But in the food business, we have all these factories, noodles, rice, and then we have coffee. This is all my food business. We have cattle, because in Islam, every year we have to slaughter a cow or a goat to feed the poor. So that is one of our business, korban. And for the goat, every child, a Muslim child, when you give birth to a boy, you have to slaughter 2 goats. A girl, 1 goat, to feed to the poor. So I have that business. So it's all from the Islamic way of life. So these are the pizza factory and also the fried chicken. This is my energy business, biogas, the manures, fertilizers from the cows, and then mixed with the children's organic waste to produce the biogas for electricity and LPG. We have the biopyrolysis used cooking oil for biodiesel. This is the water business with the Japanese company. And the waste business, we recycle organic and non-organic waste. The incinerator. This is all the handicrafts are all from waste. The other side, the calligraphy from eggshells, and this is from sweet wrappers. All these are businesses to support the free education. So I can be said that I'm a social entrepreneur. During my husband's time, I don't have to think about business. I have the easy life. But when he passed away, I know that all the assets that he left me, from 25 in 2010, now we have 65 business units. And all this to support the free education. I've been speaking all over Indonesia for Islamic boarding schools to have these social enterprises to support the free education, but so far it hasn't worked. I'm the only Islamic boarding school in Indonesia and maybe the world that provides free education, food, accommodation, and meals. And I was hoping with my speaking here, I can influence the other religions to create this kind of boarding school, a community for social entrepreneurship. You know why? These students, they finish their university degree, they will go into a 2 years of internship program. In the 2 years of internship program, they will learn how to teach, they will learn how to run the businesses, because we have agribusiness, we have factories, and they will learn how to organize an organization of 15,000 children. And all this within the 2 years of internship. When they finish the internship program, I matchmake them and I get them married. After they got married, they will go back to their villages. They will open up a free schools. Not as big as Al-Asriyah Nurul Iman, but at least a free school for the villages, the children around their homes, and have businesses to support the free school. We use the financial technology, so everything is CRIS, QR code. So it's cashless management in the school, even though they don't have money, but I give them money, but everything is digitalized. And the apps we created ourselves. This is our partnership with the Japanese, the Taiwanese, the Koreans with the Taekwondo. So the students get scholarship to study at the Taekwondo University in Korea. Turkey, they needed Hafidhul Quran, students who memorize the Al-Quran to teach in the Islamic boarding school in Turkey. With Malaysia, the BPO, business processing outsource. Okay, this is my secret. When you have an organization, when you have a business, this is what we should do. This is what my husband advised me. Waheed, if you have money, 1/3 of that money should be spent on the operational. Like for myself, I have to pay salaries, buy teachers, pay the bills and everything. 1/3, I have to invest. Invest in what? Buying land, buying machineries for my factories. All that is wakaf, okay? I don't own them. The Ummah own them. And 1/3 should be in savings. Savings in what form? In gold bars. Not in crypto or in shares, no way. This is the true Islamic way. And that is what I've been doing for 14 years now. My husband passed away 14 years ago. Even though I have a lot of suitors, a lot of marriage proposals, but I think this is my heaven, my paradise. So I have accumulated quite a number of savings for my gold savings. And in Islam, when you have 80 grams of gold, you have to give out another 2.5%. So every year I have to give out about 500,000 USD because of the gold I accumulated and from the business transaction. And then from that 500,000 USD, I will give back to my teachers, my administrators, to the villages around me. And all those children, I use their money also for the capital. So when they leave the school, they graduated from the school with their spouses, they will bring a capital from me. But the capital is not in the form of money, it's in the form of the products I produce. 65 business products, you can choose whatever you want to buy. You just bring to your villages, you sell, and the money you send back to the school. So I give them capital to start the entrepreneurship, social entrepreneurship. So my aim is to create social entrepreneurs. Because when you work with the government or you work with anybody else, you just wait for the salaries every month. I want them to be the job creator, not the job seeker. I want them to be the bosses, even though maybe they have one staff, but it's important for them to give out the salary, not to accept salaries. Okay, that is all my presentation, and I just hope, please, any one of you, please be inspired. If I can do it, you can do better. Because in this world, we need social entrepreneurs, and we should teach these children from young. Of course, those working in my factories, in my businesses, are not the young children. They are the university students. So once they enter university level, which is still free, they will go into my businesses and into my administration. Maybe they become the teachers or the managers in the farm or in the factories. But we have to teach them about business skills. That is very important. In Islam, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he's a merchant. He's a trader. His wife, Sayyidatina Khadijah, is an entrepreneur, is a boss. 1/3 of the land in Mecca, she owns. So we want to create entrepreneurs, be it Muslim or Jewish or Christians. Start from young. Start from the children. and with that we create the jobs for other people. Thank you so much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you so much, Umi. Such a remarkable story. And you know, we could take this thread in different directions, and of course, we're going to try to get to your questions. And so as a reminder, we're using Slido. Use the code AU2024, and if you didn't catch the QR code, there should be a QR code on a piece of paper at your table. So you could scan that and submit your questions. So again, remarkable story. I mean, we could take this in a couple of different directions. And so on the one hand, there's the entrepreneurship that you're teaching your students. But there's a story behind that, and that's your own entrepreneurship. And so I wanted to start with you and just ask you, you identified several challenges, everything from taxes, parents questioning why you're not coming back to Singapore. Tell me, what additional obstacles have you found, and how have you illustrated the persistence that an entrepreneur needs to pursue their dream and then assist others in the process?
Thank you so much. Actually, I do this because I look at the children's eyes. You know, when a child, you just give them a piece of bread, they are so very grateful. A child doesn't ask much. They just want a safe place where they can sleep at night, where it's warm, and they have food in their stomach. Most of the children in my school, they come to me at about 3-4 years of age, like from the tsunami victims. They have traumas, they cannot hear water, they cannot see water, and they don't shower for like 3 months. And Alhamdulillah, it's like when I married them off, can you imagine, they come skinny, sickly, and they leave my place healthy, beautiful, smart, and they're going to create the snowball effect. Every time when I think that it's too much for me, overwhelming, I only think about the future. Indonesia, biggest Muslim population. These children are going to be the bonus demographic. Now, 25 years later, they are going to be the future leaders of Indonesia, Muslim leaders. If we don't take care of them, and if we don't show the way, you don't show the example, there is going to be, nothing can be done really. For me, prevention is better than cure. When I talk about social entrepreneurship, about social education, and the education in my school is not only about Islam, Al-Quran, Hadith, everything. We study mathematics, English, Mandarin, Japanese languages, because we have a lot of scholarships from all these other nations. And I want my students to open up to the world. They might be poor. They might be abandoned by their parents. They might have very fragile psychological well-being, but they are somebody very important to the world. They will contribute a lot more, everything to the world. So I always tell them, choose whatever you love to do. You can see just now, like Taekwondo, they can go to Colombia. They were number 7 in the World Taekwondo Championship. And he's an orphan. The mother comes to me and cried, Umi, thank you so much. Without your school, without Nurul Iman, my son will be a gangster in the market. Because he's strong, but he's easily manipulated. He will follow anybody who wants him. But because of Nurul Iman, he's now an athlete and number 7 in the world. He contributed to the school. Now he's married with 2 children. He's now not only an athlete, but he's also a trainer. He has his own dojang. So he teaches Taekwondo to the villagers around him. No fees, everything's for free. I told them, ilmu, knowledge belongs to Allah, belongs to God. We are just the mediator. People always ask me, Umi, do you think you can go on like this? Maybe 10 years. I say, I don't care. I have my boys. I have my 7 children. They will take care of this. Until apocalypse, the day after, until the Qiyamah, these wakaf have to be productive to take care of this school. That's why when I was speaking at this, the sustainability of social organization in Taiwan, I was invited by the Buddhists. I was speaking with a professor from UCLA Business School, from Oxford University Business School, from Harvard University Business School, from Kathmandu University Business School, and they're all men. I'm the only lady, and at that time I just had a master's degree in public relations, and they're all professor doctors in business schools. One of the professors from Oxford Business School, he said, Umi, you're the heroine. Even though you are the only Muslim here, and we're all non-Muslims, but we really salute you. You are the practitioner. We are just theorists. We don't do the talk. We don't walk the talk. So in a way that I'm an activist, I don't use any theory. When I was talking with Dr. Benedict Kohler, because he's the expert in Islamic economy, I said, I don't know all that. I just know that I have to feed 15,000 children. I have to pay salaries for 1,000 teachers and administrators. I don't go by the book because I don't study economics or Islamic economy. No, I study psychology, public relations, and Islamic education. Nothing about business, nothing about economics, especially finance. Okay, maybe I calculate the money, see how I have to pay my zakat. Because in Islam, there is the ziswaf. Zakat, infaq, sadaqah, and waqaf. Zakat is compulsory. You have to pay that. 2.5% of your income every year. Only 2.5% and only every year. But when you are a coal mine business person like me, I have to pay 20%. Because when you get everything from the ground, just dig, and then you get the coal or the gold or the oil, no big deal. So you have to cough out 20% to give to the poor. And then we have the infaq and the sadaqah. That is voluntary. Waqaf is another. This is what I'm doing, the waqaf assets. Waqaf are assets where are used to give profit for the umat. Usually the waqaf is masjid, madrasah, and makam. Makam is burial ground. But I use it in the form of coffee farm, rice mills, timber business, and the coal mine. And I focus in few: food, energy, water, and waste business.
Yes, no, it's wonderful to hear just the practical impact of your work, and it's recognized by individuals like those scholars in the business schools. I know that there must be some skeptics, and let me give you an example that's coming from questions that skeptics might ask. They might, first, I guess I should preface this. At what age do the children begin to work?
I got that a lot. Because sometimes they say I take advantage of this free labor, cheap labor, child labor. No, I don't do that. So they only start working when they finish their university, their batch. In Indonesia, it's honors degree because they have to go 4 years of university education. Then they will go into the internship program of 2 years. So from early childhood education until university, they don't work at all in my business units. When they graduated, then they go to the internship program of 2 years. Then they will go into whatever they love to do, maybe in fisheries, agriculture. That is for the boys. They will be the hard skills. The ladies, the girls, we go into the fashion industry, spa and salon, and then animation. That is everything to do with the soft skills. That is for the girls. So our aim is that girls must stay at home after they get married, especially when they have children. We don't allow our girls to go outside to work, especially to become domestic workers in foreign countries. No, you stay at home. Especially with the internet, you can sell your products from home with the online shop or being a drop shipper, no big deal. So all the girls, we stay at home, they can sew, they can have a salon business at home, or a makeup artist, where they don't leave the house. But when the children is already 5 years old, going to elementary, then if they want to work outside, they want to teach, it's up to them. But for us, the girls, the ladies, they have to stay at home, teach at home, give tuition, but stay at home. Later, when the children has grown up, then they can work outside. So there's no child labor, no free labor, no cheap labor. All of them will go to internship program, and it's very important. Because when you talk about business, you don't talk about sitting in an air-conditioned room and then studying and memorizing the theories. No. Business, you have to go to the field. Like for me, I have to go to my coal mine. I have to go to my rice fields. I have to go to my coffee farms. And there are all very far away places. Because even though you can see from the phone, the calculations, the income statement, but still we have to see what's happening in the field. So seeing is believing. That's why when I go to the field, then I know how the situation of the business, what's happening now. Sometimes, of course, these children, when they become adults, some of them will want to work with me, but I don't allow them to work with me. They have to go back to their villages. I don't want them to migrate to the town area. Especially we are in Java, it's already so congested. So they will go back to their villages, and from there they create the social entrepreneurship effect. So don't worry, no child labor.
So it sounds to me like one of the great lessons that these children are being taught is that the good that business can do. Earlier, I think you'd mentioned that it was your parents who had mentioned, well, it's just up to the government to take care of these orphans and refugees. That's their job. And yet, you've been able to show that it's in fact through ordinary business that you can pull people out of poverty and difficult situations. Yet at the same time, there's one other lesson it seems to me that these children ought to experience, and that is entrepreneurship takes perseverance and determination and often failure. So have you had any of these businesses where the students observe, oh, that business unit, that's not working out. We're going to have to shut that one down. And then they do something new? Or how have these numerous businesses actually played out on a day-to-day? Any business units you've had to shut down and say it no longer works?
From the 25 business units that my husband left to me, none of the businesses I have closed, and I have developed more to become 65 business units, because all my businesses are focused on the few industries: food, energy, water, and waste. And everybody needs that. And everybody will produce waste, no matter how much. Especially in my school, can you imagine 15,000 children? Every month I will have to draw out the septic waste, or else you explode, and create aromatherapy for the 4 villages that we occupy. Or else I have to spend another $13,000 to extract the organic waste. So I have to be creative. I mix them with the cow's waste because it's full of methane. Because humans don't produce enough methane for the LPG, liquid petroleum gas. So we mix that, and that's how we have at least lessen our electrical bills. And what was your question just now?
So it just seems that on the one hand, another important lesson to teach children is that entrepreneurship requires continued determination and resilience.
So far, I never closed any of the businesses, and Alhamdulillah, my alumni can be said 90% become entrepreneurs. And not only the usual ordinary entrepreneurs, they create a lot of franchise. So they, like one example, this husband and wife from my school. The husband has this kebab business. So they started with only 1 stall, and then now they have 4 stalls. And all the alumni from my school, he will take in, and he gives them the capital to have the kebab business. Another one is the meatballs business. You know, Indonesia, they are so crazy over meatballs. So he created 1 meatballs stall, and then when his friends graduated, he gave him another stall. Another one, he have the Padang restaurant. So they opened up the restaurant in Bali, and then he was the manager there, and then from the savings that he got as a manager, he opened up another restaurant. So, and then friends from the alumni from the school, he bring in. So, and then from then on, they have their own businesses. So I want, because when you have business, you are not dependent on anybody for salary. You work hard, you get the result. That is about business. And sometimes we are afraid, oh, maybe if I have a business, it doesn't work, people don't buy my product. It just, in Islam, we call tawakal. Just do your best. At least you are doing something. If nobody wants to buy your products, I always tell them, don't give up. There will always somebody who wants your product. Of course, your product have to be good, have to be creative. Like the 65 businesses that I created is all from the captive market. 15,000 children, they will need from top to toe everything. And that is what I produce. What is needed by this captive community of 15,000 children. So I sew their dresses, their uniforms, I make ice creams, braids and everything, all to feed these 15,000. The surplus, I sell to the community around me. Of course, the price is discounted, but I don't care. As long as I get the capital to generate more products and more income.
So you've spoken much about business and also Islam. So one of the things that Acton likes to emphasize is the importance of uniting principled entrepreneurship or free markets undergirded by virtue and morality. So could you elaborate on how you integrate and teach children that business serves the good and it also requires virtuous behavior to truly be socially entrepreneurial?
Because the Prophet Muhammad said that when you have business, you have to pay the salary before the sweat dries up. That is one of the principles of Islamic business. And when I teach my students about business, I always tell them you must have everything written down. One thing about Muslims or students, children in Islamic boarding school, if some of you have been to Indonesia, to a pesantren, maybe Mr. Chris has been there, they tend to memorize. In Islamic knowledges, like the Al-Quran, you just memorize. The Hadith, you memorize. But in numbers, in business, you cannot memorize. So I have to force them to write down. Whatever goes in, whatever comes out, have to be written down. The income statement, the cost of goods produced, sold, everything have to be written down. That was my first hurdle when I took over the business. Because when my husband was alive, the business that he was running was all the hardcore, like the coal mine. So the bread factory, the children were running were just, as a matter of fact, it's just for a training ground. So when the girl, maybe she's broken-hearted, you can find like hair in the braid, so, or maybe a nail in the braid. So there's no quality control. But when I took over, we cannot do that because we have to sell our products. This is not a training ground. Right. So I hire a very expensive chief executive officer because he was in charge of my coal mine and I trust him. So he runs my business enterprise in the school like a coal mine business. When you know the coal mine business, 99% are cheaters, 1% are learning to be cheaters. That is the coal mine business. And that is the business that I have to study from minus.
Thank you for that. I have a number of questions coming in basically on the same theme. So a number of people are asking, do your schools support non-Muslim children? Do you help people coming from other religious traditions, Christian, Buddhist, and other?
Because my school is known as the Islamic boarding school, we don't accept other religions. It's not that I'm being discriminative, no. I want to focus on bringing up Muslim as a Muslim way of life. And I want, please, the Christians to do that with the Christian children. The Jewish will do that with the Jewish children. In Indonesia, there is a boarding school called No Mansion. It was supported by the Germans, a Protestant, if I'm not mistaken, No Mansion. And the priests came to my school. They want to study my management system so that they can provide free education to the boarding school. Because the boarding school is very expensive. And they are supported by the Germans, but they cannot lower the cost of the school fees. And they came to my school, they stayed with me for one whole day. They write down everything from the kettles, through the bread factory, everything, to the fishes. And then I told them, so can you give free education to your boarding school? They cannot do it. I don't understand, maybe they're not strong enough. But to me, good intentions is like what Acton is about, is very important. Because if we have a free boarding school, we provide everything free for the children, it's a good start for them. And whatever religions you are, I think children are our future. And children without religions, I'm sorry for the atheists, it's difficult for them. But if they have a religion, it's easier for them to know what is right and what is wrong. This is the way to the heaven. I follow Muhammad, you follow Jesus, the other one follow Moses. We all go the same way. We want to go to heaven. We want to go to paradise together. So all this time I've been a speaker for social entrepreneurship, and I talked to Dr. Kim Tan. How come from the Christian side you don't have this boarding school? Because in Indonesia, if you want to start, it's cheaper. The land is cheaper and it's easier to have a Christian boarding schools, which with my concept, with my system of free and quality education supported by social entrepreneurship. And it will work. A lot of businesses will support. My Japanese business friends, my Koreans, they are all non-Muslims. They are all non-Indonesians, but they are willing when they see you are doing this for the good cause, not for your own profit. Inshallah, everything will go well. And please, don't think that when you give, you're going to be poor. No. I have 4 Rolex watches. I sold 2. The other 2, I cannot sell because it was too expensive. I have 3 Jaguar cars. I sold all of them, but 1 returned back. So the person who bought the Jaguar cars, when he saw that I sold the car because I want to pay my rice bills, he said, Umi, I give you as a present the Jaguar cars. Now I got it again. So I always tell my friends, don't be afraid. When you do good, you will never be poor. That is my guarantee.
So a question coming from the audience that's more on some of the practical dimensions of investment, and you mentioned investment and savings and productivity. Somebody was intrigued by your point about investing in gold and not in speculative currencies and cryptocurrencies. And they would like you to dive into a little bit more of that, and both maybe the Islamic principles behind this as also just a prudential business dimension behind this.
Because this is my husband is a learned Muslim imam. He memorized the Al-Quran, he memorized the Hadith. And he said, from the Islamic way of life, we cannot invest in something that is not there. If you buy gold, you can hold the gold. When you buy shares, do you hold the shares? When you buy crypto, that is worse. So in Islam, you have to buy something and you have to hold the product. You cannot buy an imaginary product. That is from the Islamic way of life, from the Islamic principle. But don't forget, you have to pay the zakat every year. Because or else we go to hell, that's it. And what he's taught me, and I realized that when you buy gold bars, it will always appreciate, never depreciate. It's different with diamonds. Diamonds, when you want to sell, is very difficult because it depends on the person who likes it or not. But with gold bars, you just see the market price and you just sell it. So it's better to invest in gold bars, not gold jewelries. It's different, it's gold bars. So I buy the gold bars. I don't buy the 1 kilogram, no. I buy the 100 gram, and it's easier to keep and easier to sell if I need the cash.
So you clearly have had businesses look into your model, invest in it. You had an individual, I think a Chinese investor, who then subsequently purchased the products that you sold. And yet at the same time, if I understood you correctly, in Indonesia itself, there hasn't been a replication of your school. What do you suppose are the reasons why people don't, at least in Indonesia, want to try to replicate what you're doing?
Because one thing, I'm sorry to say, most of the leaders of these Islamic boarding schools are men. Sorry to say also, when you know about Muslim men, when they have extra cash, they will marry again. Again and again. So when, that's one of my thoughts of why they don't want to have a free Islamic boarding schools. Because I have this very learned man, a cleric. He has 4 wives. So, and he was complaining, I cannot ask for more fees from my students. I told Imam, you only have 400 students. Why don't you let them for free? You are so rich. You have 4 wives. When I came here, your wife said, the Imam just bought me an emerald ring. If you buy 1 emerald ring for the first wife, you have to buy for the second wife, for the third wife, and the 4th wife. So when is it going to be free education for your students? And you want to complain to me? Because you see, in Islam, okay, you can marry more than once. But when you think about your needs and everything, it's difficult to give the free education. That's why maybe they need a woman leader like me to have free Islamic boarding schools. But so far, I never see any female Islamic boarding school leaders in Indonesia. All will be male. I'm the only pretty one there, the only lady.
So one last question, and that is, as you are sharing the successes in other countries, have you found any place that seems to gain traction in seeking to replicate your model within their own country? And if so, could you describe some of those examples?
Actually, Nigeria is interested, but one thing about Nigeria, too much politics. And I talked to this very rich Nigerian, he was the governor, and he wanted to be the president of Nigeria, but he lost in the election. Rich people, for Muslim, you have to pay the zakat. But if we have to support a social organization like a boarding school, rich people will come a time they will be very, like, okay, they might not be angry, but they might be upset. Like, you're always asking for donation, crowdfunding, always coming by and bring your sad orphans. Please, my orphans haven't eaten. And that is what's going to happen, and it's happening now. When you have orphanages, you can sell these orphans to buy food for them or to buy clothes. And that is what I don't want to do. And Nigeria was interested, but the rich people are not prepared to, like, okay, for me, it's not a sacrifice, but they're not willing to do that, like what I'm doing. But to me, love is a sacrifice. When you love something, like I love Allah, you have to do sacrifice. My sacrifice is for the children. When I give love to these children will give love to their children and the next generation. And we create that domino effect. And we create the peaceful nature of the world from these children. I attended this lecture about the fragile states like Pakistan, Afghanistan. And the speaker was Dr. Kaplan, and he was saying about boarding schools. And I agreed with him. Boarding schools are an answer to most of our problems. Delinquency, social media problems, bullying. When you put them in a boarding school, of course, you have to discipline them. There will be no bullying, no homosexuality in boarding schools because it's all one gender. Girls and boys are very separated until they meet on the wedding day. Because in our school, when they graduated, the girls will choose the husband, not the husband choose the wives. Because when I study psychology, men will choose the beautiful one, and women will choose the man with the biggest pocket. That is ecological psychology, because women will find a man who will take care of them and the children. So women are more logical when they choose the spouse. So I will let the girls, this is the bio data of the man that wants to get married this year. So every year I get married 50 couples, so they will choose. And they will choose the guy from the same village. Why? It's easier. Because in Indonesia, we have about 500 ethnics. So if you speak another ethnic language, it's difficult to communicate. So if you are from East Java, then we will marry from East Java or West Java, or from Sulawesi or from Kalimantan. It's easier. So they will choose. And every year I have this marriage ceremony. I will do the spa and the salon for the couples, for the wedding couples. I get them married, and I will send them back with the certificate of education and a spouse.
That's
and
great.
Start their own business.
Well, Umi, I must say there are many other threads we could pursue here, everything from a potential solution to the refugee crises across the globe to the challenges of declining marriage rates in different parts of the world. It's just such an inspiring story to hear what you're doing with your school. So thank you so much for joining us tonight.